And I want to challenge that premise, okay? That's a misconception. Because the lack of religion does not have some monopoly on inclusiveness. In fact, the lack of religion can lead to extreme exclusiveness. Last week I talked to you about Charles Darwin and his book on evolution, The Origin of the Species, and I told you that's not the full title of that book. Do you know what the full title of Darwin's book was, the original title? His original title was On the Origin of the Species by Means of Natural Selection or the Preservation of Favored Races in the Struggle for Life. Darwin was someone who did not believe in God, promoted this idea of evolution, said we don't need God in the public square, but he said these things point to the fact that there are some people that are better than others, and we need to preserve them and not the other races. There's some people in the room that Darwin should have thought, you probably shouldn't reproduce. There's some people in the room this morning, Darwin would have said, it'd be better if you didn't have kids. In fact, let me read you this quote from his book, The Descent of Man. Man scans with scrupulous care the character and pedigree of his horses and cattle and dogs before he matches them. But when it comes to his own marriage, he rarely or never takes any such care. Both sexes ought to refrain from marriage and childbearing if they are in any marked degree inferior in body and mind. You know what he's saying? He's saying the same way that you breed animals is the way that we should look at reproduction here for humans. If anybody is not quite as smart, don't let them reproduce. And this led to the popularity of eugenics. Eugenics was incredibly popular before the advent of World War II. There were national eugenics conferences, international eugenics gatherings where people would gather together and they would talk about and discuss how can we help the human race move forward as a species by keeping those that are at the bottom end of the gene pool from reproducing. And some of the most extreme views that were born out of this was what prompted people to take anyone who might have a low IQ or some form of disability and force them to be sterilized so that they could not reproduce. Margaret Sanger, who was the forerunner of Planned Parenthood and a main advocate for abortion in our country, was a fan of eugenics and felt that bringing abortion would be an effective way to cut down on the rapidly growing African American population in the United States. And you know what has happened? Exactly that. There is a greater percentage of African American children aborted through Planned Parenthood than any other nationality. So here are people that have taken religion out of the public square, taken religion out of the equation, and you know what they have done? They've become incredibly exclusive. We only want the best, the brightest, the people that look like us, the people that have this color hair, the people that have this color eyes. And this is what spawned the ethnic cleansing of Nazi Germany. It was eugenics to the extreme. And after World War II, this idea fell out of popularity, and today we would say, who would believe that? Who would think that that is appropriate? So I want you to see that taking religion out of the public square does not lead to everybody's welcome.